It's time for Hostel Discourse, Rogue One Special, Part 2. Now your host, David Rohlfing.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Hostel Discourse. We all just saw Rogue One and we are very pumped to talk about it. Back with us again, we have Tim in studio with me.
I think the force is with all of us right now.
Mike from St. Louis is back with us.
I am here and ready.
And Canaan from Colorado Springs.
Oh, so good.
So good.
You're singing Sweet Caroline? Never mind.
Just continue, David.
I just want to talk about the movie. All right. So we're all pretty pumped to just discuss. Tim and I refused to discuss in the theater. We were sitting next to each other after the movie ended, so we've been holding it all in. We're going to start off with some spoiler-free reactions. I'll put the time code in the show notes to let you know when we start talking about some plot details and things that would be considered spoilers. So first, we're just going to give our first impressions of the movie and overall review. Canaan, you want to start?
I personally think that they did a tremendous job in creating a Star Wars spinoff from the main trilogy. It is definitely a different feel from the other Star Wars movies, but it works perfectly for the story that they were trying to capture with Rogue One. I say 10 out of 10. It's a tremendous Star Wars movie, as they all are. Go see it.
Just to let you know, we literally all just got home from the theater. We're a little Star Wars happy right now, I would say. But personally, I don't think that my very high impressions of the movie will wear off. I don't know. This one was really special. I avoided reading any reviews that came out this week, so I literally don't have any bias or impression on me in that way. So personally, I loved it. Mike, you want to give us what you thought?
I mean, it was a giant nostalgia bomb is what it was. And as someone who has seen A New Hope like 50 times, I mean, there's so much in it that made me smile and made me like give it a little nod. And it is really cool how they tie it in to the next movie. I guess you'd call it the next movie. And I really enjoyed it. I think there's some things we can talk about later on that I could maybe get a little nitpicky about. And I certainly want to see it again. I am seeing it again on Monday in a different format, which I know will be better than the one I saw it in. I'll just leave it at that for now.
Yeah, and then for me, it just, to describe it like a Star Wars planet, it was Felucia. It was lush, vibrant, and full of fun and cool things to look at. Definitely a really great Star Wars movie because it felt to me like a lot of the expanded universe stuff that we've been getting, where you can see a bunch of different planets and locations in a short amount of time and still have each really represent a different aspect of what makes Star Wars so great. So yes, I agree with everyone. Definitely go see this movie.
Yeah, and I agree with you, Canaan, that it felt different, and I was kind of wanting that from the first spinoff, but it really still felt like a complete, totally Star Wars movie, even though the tone was a little darker than the other movies. Man, I want to get into details.
I definitely agree. Well, okay, let's go. Okay, here's the point. We're going to spoilers. We can't hold back.
Canaan's taking over.
The thing, okay, first of all, this thing is a war movie. It is in the trenches. It is action the entire time, and that is something that we have never seen in a Star Wars movie. I think that's something that everyone has dreamed of seeing in a Star Wars movie. Just complete, nonstop action, conflict. How many times was a character hanging off of a ledge, like about to fall and die in that movie? Like, it was so thrilling the entire time. It was a ride that we haven't gotten in any other Star Wars movie, in my opinion.
I mean, I'd say that's in the final half hour.
I don't know about that, man. It's like I feel like it carries the suspense and the conflict throughout the entire film. Like, there's always something on the line.
I was on the edge of my seat past the first planet destruction on Jeddah. Like, it was just like intense the entire time. I mean, obviously when they go back to the base and stuff, it settles down a little bit. But yeah, I mean, Jin hung off the ledge on Edu
Yeah.
and on Scarif. We knew the overall outcome of the movie, but we didn't know the outcome of each character. And so that's what kept it intense for me, is just like, who's going to die? And man, a lot of people die.
I was not expecting that, personally. I wasn't expecting them to go that route, but they did.
Yeah,
I
Disney
Canaan,
killed them all.
Yeah. Kanan touched on a good point. He said that the pace was just breakneck, and I think that both helped the tone, but also I think it really made me hungry for more character development with Jin, just because the one really good conversation that I remember, the only like deep conversations they were even able to have in between all the action sequences was on the cargo shuttle when she was talking with the captain. I thought that was a really great scene, and I guess I just wanted that to play out a little bit more between those two characters. That'd be my only.
Yeah, I mean,
complaint.
I found the pacing to be a little inconsistent. The last, 30, 40 minutes was fantastic. There was so much jumping around at the beginning, and also, we've never seen, titles telling us what planet we're at, which is kind of interesting. That wasn't
true.
It wasn't a bad thing. It was just different. And I felt like there were some lulls. I don't know, the first hour and a half, I mean, I enjoyed it, but I think some of that might not be as rewatchable as some of the rest of it.
Mm-hmm.
But certainly by the end, when they get to I don't know all the planets' names, when they get to the jungle beach planet, it picks up. And that's a lot of fun.
Oh,
That was sort of my general thought about, I guess, the pacing of the movie. It was interesting they didn't have an opening scroll. I think I read that somewhere that was going to happen, so it didn't really surprise me, but it was cool to see a different opening, too.
Very, very abrupt opening, too. Just that sound effect, boom, whoop. There we are. That planet appeared on screen.
Yeah, I definitely liked the new intro. I am glad they went without the scrolls for the side or the story movies, the anthology movies. I think it's the right call.
And they got rid of all the wipes as well. There were no fun wipes.
Good point.
They were planet titles and they were fun wipes, or no fun wipes, I should say.
I didn't notice that. Let's start at the beginning of the movie. So, first scene, the Urso's farm. Mads Mikkelsen, that's his name, right?
Yes.
Galen. He was pretty awesome.
Yeah, that scene gave me a kind of Inglourious Bastards vibe a little bit.
Yeah, with the farm, too.
Yeah, I mean, that scene, no one will ever beat the Inglourious Bastards scene, but it certainly reminded me of that.
Huh. And the actor that plays Krennic, I forget his name.
Ben Mendelsohn.
He kind of looks similar to...
Hans Landa is the
Christoph Waltz.
Yeah,
Christoph Waltz.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, so I just finished listening to the Catalyst audiobook today. And it pretty much leads directly into that first scene, which is really awesome, actually. The book, I was going to suggest this to you, Tim. The book actually would provide so much more character depth on all of the characters, but Jin specifically. She is a child in the book, but just knowing her backstory and what she was grown up into provides the full context for how her character is in the movie. And it actually is really cool how this novel in particular led up into this movie. I've done a few prequel novels into movies before, and I haven't felt that they were necessary by any means. I would say that this one, if you really want to get into Rogue One as a film and each character, gotta read that prequel novel. Absolutely.
Good to know. I would really like to read it now.
Did Catalyst go into any detail on Saw Gerrera and how he relates to their family?
Oh, yes, absolutely. It tells the whole story, man. It's crazy.
Well, he's a Clone Wars character.
Yeah, he is in the Clone Wars.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Is he as fanatic and crazy in the Clone Wars as he was
does.
in this movie?
He is kind of a more rebellious type in the Clone Wars, for sure.
I actually really like that. I thought that was kind of topical to, I guess, the political environment of our world right now. Seeing someone who, within an organization of rebels, was even going much further towards the extremist
Absolutely. Camp. Well, I mean,
that's really cool.
That's how Rogue One started. I mean, that's a big spoiler, but that's what Rogue One is. They were rebelling against the rebellion, man.
So one of the first major planets they go to is Jeddah. The Empire's mining the
Kyber crystals.
Kyber crystals from the old Jedi Temple, whatever that was there. That first ambush scene just totally reminded me of like U.S. forces in Iraq getting ambushed by like terrorists or something like that, like guerrilla warfare type thing, which we've never seen in Star Wars. A lot of it was pretty brutal.
Yeah.
Really cool being able to see that in a Star Wars movie. It was just like totally new.
What about Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon attacking the battle droids in Theed?
Oh yeah, that's
That's guerrilla
violent.
warfare.
You mean on Naboo when they jumped down off the bridge with Jar Jar?
I mean, this is definitely on a whole different level than that. That's for damn sure.
Where are you taking them? Coruscant. Oh, that doesn't compute. You're under arrest.
Nothing will compare to that. So they just had to do their best.
Real quick, talking about Jeddah, something I wanted to throw in there is not only was the theme present verbally in the dialogue, but also visually when they first show how occupied that city is by Imperial forces. Like everywhere in the background, there's a AT-ST walking around, there's a TIE fighter sound effect in the distance, or there's one of those Imperial probe droids floating around. It was just really visually oppressive.
They were also on the search for Bodhi, the pilot, which explains the additional forces.
And it all felt very real too. I would assume they built a bunch of sets and or shot that on location somewhere. And even like the wide shots of the city on the cliff or whatever it was, like it looked really, really, really cool.
Absolutely.
Oh yeah.
Were they mining? So they were mining those crystals to power the Death Star?
Yes, but they were getting them
those
from...
are the same crystals that power lightsabers?
Yes. Okay, so this was explained in Catalyst, the novel. The Kyber crystals were Galen's specialty, and he figured out how to harness them for the Death Star's purposes. And that's why they're taking that's why they are gathering so many Kyber crystals.
Okay.
And I'm guessing the crystal on Jin's necklace is a Kyber crystal.
Yes, that's
as well.
Kyber. It's a Kyber.
Do you have a Kyber crystal around your neck?
I'm wearing it, dude. I was wearing it during the movie.
I knew you would.
It's a quartz, but it's pretty much a Kyber.
Close enough.
It's a beautiful mineral.
Okay, can we talk? I don't know. Are you going to keep going through the plot, Dave, or can we jump around?
There's so many things. Just go wherever you want to go.
Honestly, I feel like going through it front to back might be the best way to cover everything.
I guess maybe stay scene to scene a little bit.
Yeah, because then we make sure we cover, as much as we possibly can.
Do you remember all the scenes, or you're looking at Wikipedia?
Tim and I, when we got home, we wrote down like each planet in order to try to remember.
I couldn't remember that.
There's a lot of them, though.
Mm-hmm.
Have we gotten to the transmission yet, or the message from Galen?
Well, no. We skipped Jin. We skipped Jin's prison planet.
Oh, yep, the prison planet. They weren't there for long, and then they went to Yavin from there, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which was really cool. I was
stoked to see that, man.
They
that
nailed
awesome.
that.
Yeah.
Oh gosh,
they expanded on the awesome style that already existed.
Yep.
Just made it bigger and cooler.
Yeah, seeing the temple in big wide shots was so beautiful.
Oh yeah,
cool.
Absolutely.
And I love how they show the guy with the gun and the post
gun. Yep,
scanning
the scanner gun.
so awesome.
Cool.
Well, let's talk. Okay, so if we're on Yavin, let's talk like what do you call them? Cameos. We had Mon Mothma,
General Dodonna.
We had Dodonna. Is that his name?
Yep.
And then at least a little later on, we got some Bail Organa and some Jimmy Smits back in there.
Yeah, those are awesome.
Those are all interesting.
C-3PO and R2-D2,
as well as the CGI cameos.
Oh yeah.
Okay, well let's talk about
Necessary.
Tarkin. I thought Tarkin was awesome.
Awesome.
Gosh.
Oh my yes. Yes, it was so good.
Like it was a little Uncanny Valley, where it's
I thought that Princess Leia was more Uncanny Valley. I thought that she looked a little less real than Tarkin did.
Really? I think the exact opposite. Because I think they said at the end of the credits, special thanks to Carrie Fisher. So I'm assuming they brought her in, did like put the nodes, like the electric nodes on her face, and then did a mapping of it,
and then erased the wrinkles.
Yeah, no, I'm serious. Like they probably did something where they could actually have her real living face to make it look more realistic. Whereas with I don't know Moff Tarkin's actor,
Peter Cushing.
He's passed away, right?
Yes.
A long time ago.
Yeah.
Rest in peace.
Well, I will tell you that my wife, who has seen Star Wars maybe twice, thought that was a real person until I leaned over to her and I said, "He died a long time ago," and she was really confused. She didn't even know what I was talking about. So, like,
as did my wife.
Yes.
She thought he was real. Also,
Wow,
there were a few shots that were a little off, but for the most part, Tarkin was darn good. I thought the only real issue with him was the voice wasn't spot on.
Yeah. There was a few moments where I thought the mouth wasn't, the speaking wasn't lining up completely, but
I like how they revealed him slowly by showing his reflection in the window. And I did not think that they would show him for that amount of time. He had a lot of screen time.
He did.
Which is really bold because
he was a complete character in that movie, which read the Catalyst novel, man. James Luceno fucking killed it. He blastering killed it.
Man, I really do have to read it now. It sounds really great.
It totally goes into Krennic and wow, am I spacing on Moff Tarkin? Goes into Krennic and Tarkin's back conflict and why they're so hostile towards each other in the movie, which is really played off super well. That guy was I'm sure he was acting with someone, but
yeah, definitely
he's interacting with the CG character in the end, which they did it really well. I was a little nervous when I heard about that, but
I guess while we're talking about it, what do we think of Krennic as a character in that movie?
Thought he was great. Thought the death was great too.
Or is he? No.
Got smoked.
No, I thought he did a really good job. It seemed a little iffy in the trailers. I feel like there were a lot of stuff in the trailers that weren't in the movie, and we could probably, I'm sure someone's already analyzed that.
Yeah, Saw Gerrera had a really great line that wasn't in the movie. What was it?
And he took a lot of Just for Men. He grew his hair back.
Oh, true. No, I remember now. It was at the end of the first trailer where he asks, I think he was intended to be talking to Jin, asking what will you do if they catch you?
Oh,
do you guys remember that? I thought that was really cool.
And the line that was in the trailer that was we're rebels, we rebel. That wasn't in there either, was it?
No, you're right.
Oh.
Yeah, they nixed that one.
Good.
They saw the negative reaction.
That wasn't very good, yeah.
I didn't even see that in the trailer, but I'm glad that was not in the movie.
Huh. I didn't notice that. Is that
the rebellion is built on hope thing?
They said hope a lot.
Yeah, that's a cool
that
thing.
That could have been a drinking game.
Now it is, baby.
I loved the music. The Force Awakens music, I didn't really notice it as much the first time I saw it, and I definitely noticed the soundtrack in this movie. There are so many cool, big, sweeping themes. In the first half of the movie, when they're going from planet to planet, each planet had its own really cool theme song. I loved it.
And it's almost more patriotic sounding, but in a Star Wars way. It's like a war, war anthems. Do you know what I'm saying? Listen to that soundtrack and then compare it to Pearl Harbor or Saving Private Ryan or Band of Brothers or The Pacific. Those types of scoring is totally what they based but they did a Star Wars spin on it, and it's just so good. You're absolutely right. It's totally different.
I honestly didn't really notice the music, and it may just been because the theater I was in is kind of sucky, but I'm looking forward to seeing it on a real legit IMAX screen on Monday, and maybe I'll actually hear it this time. I didn't find anything too interesting or profound in the music, but that could have been others. Could have been situational.
Yeah. I appreciate music. Music is what I connect with most in all art, and that definitely was giving me off a total war movie vibe, as the whole movie did, but the music enhanced that a lot.
I loved the theme song for Jeddah. It was really different from the rest of the songs. It's kind of ethnic. I don't know how to explain it, how they made it sound foreign somehow, because that city was nowhere we've been before in the Star Wars universe, but they made that theme song fit that location really well somehow.
That's cool. Yeah, I liked that city. It was very cultural. Where are we in the plot? Let's
I'm not sure, but I want to jump to Darth Vader's
Mustafar-esque, Mordor-esque planet.
Yeah, it looked like Osgiliath or a tower from Lord of the Rings.
Oh my gosh, so epic.
I thought that was a little overkill. That was a little fan fiction-y.
Mm-hmm.
I want to live in that tower, though.
But I was thinking, man, Canaan would really like this.
Yeah, I did. I was like all about that whole.
Now his bath was I liked that. That
yes,
was cool.
The back to bath was
That's
awesome.
what it's called.
The scene with him and Krennic in the little courtyard.
So awesome, man.
So similar to the scene of Krennic and Bane in The Dark Knight Rises. You feel in charge.
He's got his hand in the choke.
And instead of the hand breaking his neck, Vader chokes him. It's like so similar.
Try not to choke on your aspirations.
Oh my gosh, that was the most Vader line ever.
I know, dude.
So good. I actually think the one he said right at the beginning of that conversation was really good too. Like, Krennic was saying how the Death Star is really cool, but then Vader immediately retorted by saying, but it's created a bunch of new problems. He said it way cooler than that, but I just was like, it reminded me of reading the Vader comics, because like those comics nailed the writing.
Absolutely.
I feel like I'm keep being the negative one.
All right.
I thought that scene was really awkward.
How bad was this theater?
No, I thought that scene was really really awkward, and probably because it's weird hearing new Vader dialogue.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like, I'm so used to 4, 5, and 6 that hearing him say new things is just so a little strange to me.
It's definitely different.
And it also sounded like James Earl Jones is getting old, which he is.
Yes, I agree with Mike on that. Definitely noticed the voice sounded a bit older.
It definitely sounded different, that I feel like they could have fixed with some sort of EQ or effects or something. It's almost like the original movie. The recording equipment was really crappy, and they're like, oh, well, it sounds fine because it's coming out of a mask. And then this time they like have the most high-end stuff you could possibly imagine, and it just like sounded too good almost.
I can see that.
I was so scared as we were getting towards the end of the movie. Like, that was going to be the only scene where we saw Vader.
Oh, I knew it was coming.
Boy, I was wrong.
I knew it was coming, man. That was like just what I pictured.
He almost got the meat shield up, Canaan. You were so close.
I know, but it was like, it was close enough. Like, that was what I imagined, and that was as brutal as I imagined it, and it was so good.
It was just the right amount.
Yeah.
That was possibly the best scene of the movie right there.
I will watch that over and over and over and over and over again. Like, I will just watch it I'll probably watch it like 1,000 times. As soon as it's on YouTube.
Yes.
Done.
It was exactly what we were talking about last week, how we wanted Vader to be like he is in the comic books, just like brutal, mowing people down. I mean, our wishes came true.
That's exactly what happened.
So good.
I think the thing that made it so terrifying to me is I wouldn't have picked this up as a little kid watching it, but as an adult, I can just imagine how scary it is for those Rebel Alliance soldiers to see this truly almost like a monster. They have no idea who Vader is, right? Coming towards them and just killing them mercilessly.
They probably would have heard of Vader at that point. I think
so?
Yeah. And that one guy, he's screaming like, "Get us out!" Trying to Yeah, I think they would have known because Vader is. I mean, he was always the Emperor's right-hand man throughout from 3 to 4 in that whole span. He's slaying the whole time.
Yeah, there were a lot of very like real moments like that. There was like the baby in the town.
Oh, yeah.
There was a lot of stuff
right.
that felt very authentic and real that we never got from the prequels, and that we really didn't get a lot of in the original movies.
It just has such an opportunity to touch on topics in a different way, and because it's not focused around the main characters and the main story, and it doesn't have to be like this kind of like space epic drama adventure fantasy thing. Like, that was just straight up brutal war.
And they actually focused or put into the light like collateral damage from everything that's going on, like Jeddah being destroyed, every main character being destroyed,
Galen being killed by Rebel ships.
Mm-hmm. Friendly fire, that little girl almost dying,
Cassian having to kill the guy at the beginning because he couldn't climb up with him.
Yeah, that was very surprising.
They show the like very grim realities of what that type of conflict would be like. And yeah, unfortunately, it's just showing kind of, it's trying to open our eyes to like what actually might be going on.
So, Kane,
on
I I have a question. Well, it's for everyone, but I feel like you'll have the most specific answer or most opinionated answer. But everyone can answer this. What do you feel about kind of this? Okay, so A New Hope, or Star Wars came out in 1977. They analyze the plans of the Death Star and find a weakness. Okay, there was probably zero thought put into that line other than the fact that, hey, they scanned the Death Star plans and found a weakness. And now we've retroactively created this entire reason for it. It seems like you think that makes it better, but maybe not. What do you think about that? What do you think about retroactively completely changing the way things have gone about in the previous movies?
I think that, yeah, I definitely think that when all of that was made, well, there's a few things that are pretty interesting about episode 4 that kind of might not be coincidental. You might be thinking, was that something that was planned? I believe when he fires on Alderaan, he says full power, which is something that does kind of show that the Death Star was firing at a capacity that would obliterate the planet as opposed to just taking out a little city. And then there's also the weakness, which was the entire premise of this movie. I think that if they're going to do something that ties in, then they have to rely on those types of details to like make it work in that way. And regardless of whatever George Lucas was thinking back in the day, they saw an opportunity to do that, and they have to take it. It's like,
for sure. And I mean, it is what it is. I mean, they made it, and that's the story now.
Right.
And I enjoyed it. I thought it was an interesting way to do it, but it also just like, I feel like kind of lessens A New Hope a little bit.
Well, yeah, I mean, it does. It's like, oh, well, it was meant to be destroyed. Like, the Death Star was meant to be destroyed. Its creator built it with a fatal flaw. But in the end, it couldn't have been executed by anyone other than Luke Skywalker. So, still pretty powerful for A New Hope. Because 2-meter little hole in the trench with no targeting computer, man. No targeting computer, man. That's the force.
Galen made it sound a little more easy, I think. He was like, if you touch it, the whole thing will melt down. Not really, if you shoot it all the way down.
Well, the thing was, he didn't specify the See, that's the thing. Okay, yep, okay, here we go. This goes back to your question. He did not specify the shaft in the trench. Galen did not specify that. So in episode 4, they would have still had to analyze the plans to find a way to get to the reactor to blow it up. So they did still have to analyze the plans. So that line, anyways, sorry, I went on a tangent.
No, I think that helped a lot.
I think that Galen wasn't thinking of how it was going to be destroyed. He was just saying you can destroy it by hitting the reactor. I think he probably thought it was going to be destroyed by someone on the inside, like someone going in the Death Star, planting a bomb and just blowing it up somehow.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that, and that's probably that's me looking at it that way so that I can hope that all the lines make sense.
I agree with Canaan. I think it actually, rather than what Mike said, I don't think it lessens. I think it augments what A New Hope is, because that is a plot hole that doesn't make any sense if you think about it without Rogue One explaining how a huge, literally gazillion dollar battle station, how it could fall so easily. I think it really helps explain that weakness.
Yeah, that's a good way of stating it, because it does kind of, at the end of A New Hope, you're just thinking, well, is the Empire just kind of stupid? Or what? But no, they're not.
And did the stormtroopers on the Death Star have terrible aim because they were told to let Han Solo go?
No, okay, no.
Speaking of terrible aim, on Jeddah, when Cassian is running with Jin down one of the alleyways,
yeah, that was bad. 6
stormtroopers maybe.
Yeah, that was pretty bad. That was pretty bad. I was like, okay, you guys are dead. You guys are dead. I said that multiple times, and they were still right there, and I was like, okay, they could have done better there. Yeah,
when the rest of the movie is pretty realistic, a little more than the rest of the movies, I'd feel like they wouldn't have a shot like that in there that's they'd be dead in real life, but that's all right.
In real life, they'd be dead long before that.
In real life, the Death Star would have blown up Yavin 4 by then.
Yeah.
Let's just hope there's never any real Death Stars. Let's hope that the atomic bomb was the worst of the worst.
When they blew up Jeddah, that explosion was intense.
Yeah.
The whole Earth like rippling towards them. That
shot
was crazy.
with the debris going up towards the Death Star with the sun coming from behind it. That absolutely incredible.
And that effect was even different from when it happens at the end of the movie when they're hugging on the beach. Like that was just kind of like fire, you know, just like kind of flaming stuff coming towards them. The whole crust of the Earth wasn't being like
Well, that could have
turned
been
on top.
because it was fired at an ocean. It could have been boiling the water away rather than hitting land directly.
I guess, depending on how deep the ocean is, I guess.
Yeah.
We're talking to the geology major right here.
Sorry. I thought
Well,
that
it could have
was
just
actually
been
really cool.
water reflecting. Well, yeah, I don't know. It was different. The explosion types were different.
Did you guys have you seen Watchmen?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
I got a total Watchmen vibe from the dream that, oh gosh, I can't remember, but like he basically makes out with someone as like there's an atomic mushroom cloud coming to eradicate them. And so it just reminded me of that.
Yep.
Did we like that ending for Jin and the captain?
Was it romantic or not?
I feel like it wasn't. I feel like it was not romantic.
Was it intended to be
glad that they
romantic?
didn't, like kiss or something.
When they were going down the
I'm glad they didn't.
elevator,
Yeah, exactly.
yeah, that one shot, their faces are really close, like going down the elevator after they're on the top of the satellite. And I thought they were going to kiss right there, but they didn't.
I'm so
who
glad that
knows?
they didn't. I don't think it was meant. Well, I think they obviously had them not. They had them not kiss on purpose. I don't think it was meant to be romantic. I think it was literally a embrace at the end of life. Like literally, it wouldn't matter who was next to me. If that thing was coming towards me, I'd be hugging them. I'd be hugging the crap out of them. Yeah.
Even that weird tentacly job of the
Oh yeah, I'd be
creature.
like, take all my memories before this thing goes.
I forgot about that. I just remembered that when I was thinking of something gross. Like, oh,
Well, there had to be a weird, gross creature thing. There always has to be.
that was an interesting scene, like that kind of like a torture scene.
Yeah, I'm wondering. Okay, so one little tiny thing that I thought was kind of weird was how quickly Bodhi got his mind back. And I'm wondering if that was because of, what's the blind guy's name?
I don't know his name. I know the actor's Donnie Yen, but I don't
Dang
remember them ever saying his
No,
name.
it starts with an S, I think, or some. That guy, I think it might have been because that guy was around, that guy was able to like recover so quickly. But it did seem weird how Saw said that the side effect is that you lose your mind when that thing kind of takes your memories or whatever, or exposes your memories. And then Bodhi was like a little out of it, but then snapped back so quickly. That was something that I thought was a little weak.
I remember the scene where that does happen. He's like out of it, and then it does happen pretty suddenly. I don't remember who's talking to him at that point, though.
Well, he was talking to Saw Gerrera's son, the guy with the long hair, the big commando guy. But the other guy, the Force user guy.
That's his son?
Oh, yeah, dude. Oh,
I had no
yeah,
idea.
dude. Did you not
What?
hear the line when he's when he's with Jin in the ship at the end? He's like, little sis. He calls Jin his little sis, and he totally looks like Saw, and totally fights in the same
What?
style as Saw. It's like it has to be it.
Wow.
Wait, who are you
But
talking
I feel
about?
like
He's the friend of the blind guy.
he is the ammo backpack for
Yep.
his machine gun.
But he's like Asian.
No, I don't think so.
Yeah, he
And
is.
he's like really old.
He's not old. He's not old compared to Saw.
The actor's name is Zhang Wen. He's real Asian.
Not wait. Is that the blind? You're talking about the?
No, the blind guy's Donnie Yen.
All right. Regardless, I don't know if that. I'm just kind of thinking. The guy was on Jeddah. Saw was on Jeddah. They're all there. He calls her her little sis, which is weird.
I did notice that.
I don't know. It's just kind. I mean, Jin was taken in. Maybe he was a guy that was like taken in by Saw or something, like a similar story to Jin's or whatever. But maybe not like a biological son or whatever, but someone who was also somehow related to Saw. Although that character is not explained in the novel. So I can't claim to know that. I was just trying to put together every little detail that I could.
We were talking about the kind of link between this movie and episode 4, like the Death Star plans and stuff. How did you like the ending exact to the second of,
yep, perfect,
or to the minute at least, of Star Wars?
I think that's exactly how it should have been done, and it's, to be honest, I want to watch A New Hope right now,
Yeah.
I can't wait for the day when that comes out on Blu-ray and I can watch Rogue One straight into A New Hope, because that's the best of both worlds right there.
Unfortunately, the Blu-ray of A New Hope has Jabba the Hutt in it.
Yeah, you're right. That's brutal, man. That scene is brutal.
It's real bad.
Because, Han and Jabba are, 6 inches apart from each other, and Han's,
Jabba's not
points...
near big enough.
He, points, off screen. So bad.
All right, I didn't catch this at the end, and I would like one of y'all who's maybe paying attention better to explain it. I don't understand. Was Princess Leia on the Corvette then at the very end?
The Tantive 4.
Yeah, Tantive 4, yeah. Why did they risk putting her in so much danger?
Dude, that's what I was wondering, but that just shows how balls deep Leia is in the conflict, man. She's right there. And she always was.
So she was at Scarif.
Oh, yeah, dude. She was there the whole time in the Corvette. Have you read the Princess Leia comics?
No.
I've read the first.
Princess Leia comic series is dope. She is an amazing character in the expanded universe now that Disney has taken over and is in control of the expanded universe. She's always been an amazing character, don't get me wrong, but the expanded universe now is showing her just always in the fight. And she is willing to put her life on the line for the sake of the Alliance. And she always was. She was always willing for it. And that's why Bale says, when Mon Mothma asks, can you trust her, or can you trust the person that you're trusting with the plans? And he says, duh, it's Princess Leia. It's so sick.
That line confused me a little bit because they were talking about Obi-Wan at first, right?
Yes.
Because they said the Jedi in hiding, and then he was like, I trust them with my life. I thought he was talking about Obi-Wan there.
Well, they were either talking about Obi-Wan or Yoda.
Well, they talked about Obi-Wan, and there was a little mention of Leia in there somewhere.
Well, that was. Yeah, Mike's right.
Leia was when she asked if he could trust who he was giving the plans, and he said, I'd trust her with my life. He was talking about Leia, or whatever he said. Remember
last week when I said, do you think they'll maybe show Obi-Wan or Princess Leia? And Mike was like, maybe the back of her. It's like, yeah, that's exactly what they did. Showed the back of her, and then
boom,
her fake face.
CGI.
I didn't think her face looked very good.
I didn't think Leia's face looked as good as Tarkin's, to be honest.
I thought it looked great. Way better than Tarkin's.
I thought the eyebrows were a little strange.
I think what it was, Tarkin looked so good in certain scenes because they had, when it was darker lighting on the set, looked great. Yep. But obviously in the full light, it wasn't as convincing to me.
Absolutely.
Mike, earlier you mentioned, you think Rogue One triggered a lot of your nostalgia a lot. I feel like The Force Awakens obviously tried to do that too. I feel like Rogue One kind of did it better and blended it in a little more. I don't know what it was, but some of the nostalgia in The Force Awakens was a little blatant.
Forced?
Yeah. But in Rogue One, I didn't feel like it was like that at all.
Yeah, I mean, it helped that it was a direct prequel to A New Hope, so they could get away with some of those things. I thought the only one that was super forced was when they bumped into those guys who Obi-Wan cuts off the guy's arm later. That was forced.
Ponda Baba.
Yes. What's the other guy's name?
Dr. Evazan.
Okay. I loved that they used clips from A New Hope for Red Leader and Gold Leader.
Dude, that was
they may have even used some other takes. They may have even used some other takes that weren't in the movie, That was cool. That made me smile. Of course, my wife had no idea what was going on. But
I was freaking out when I saw that.
But I loved that.
I mean, because it makes sense. Gold Leader they go straight from that battle, little rest, and then boom, back to the Death Star. That is
I love
so
that
sick.
Mon Mothma was there. I love that Dodonna was there. That Jimmy Smits was there. Bail Organa.
Rest in
It was like
peace, Bale.
Porkin's brother was one of them, I think.
Well, Porkin. There was another chubby pilot that died.
Red 5, man. Red 5 dies, makes room for Luke to come in as Red 5 in A New Hope.
Wow.
Oh, wow. I did not catch that.
Yeah.
That is kind of sad, though. I think my favorite new character addition, speaking of the leaders, was Blue Leader's mustache. Perfect.
I don't remember.
Mustache
I
connoisseur.
noticed that.
I did notice. I definitely noticed the mustache. It was a good
they were
mustache.
going for late 70s.
Yes. Oh, good point. Yeah, Blue Leader I just loved, but also sucked that he died. But whatever.
So, second Star Wars movie in a row with a female lead. What'd you think?
I have to say something right now. Crazy thought that was going through my head the whole time I was watching this movie. Once, what is her name again? Felicity Jones proved herself to me as an actress. I was like, dang, hot take. I think she could be a better Rey than Rey.
Oh, I agree. I liked her better than Rey.
I did not like her as much as Rey.
But we also don't have Rey's backstory yet, which might be helpful.
I think once Rey gets more movie to actually flesh out her character, I could completely change my opinion.
I think Daisy Ridley is the best thing that has ever graced Star Wars. Her acting is the best acting that has ever graced Star Wars, and I will back that till I die. I will.
I disagree.
She's great, man. She's
I
great.
think she's better than Harrison Ford
Dude,
in A New Hope. Come on.
Okay. Harrison Ford didn't give a crap, man. That's what makes his character so good,
I
but
think she's better than Billy D as Lando.
Billy, yeah, they're great. Those are great. They're all great. They're all cheesy as crap, man. They're all cheesy.
Don't get me wrong, I love Daisy Ridley in The Force Awakens, but one scene sticks out to me as like not incredible acting when she meets Finn on Jakku and they're like talking about he's like lying and saying he's in the rebellion and she's like has this cheesy smile on her face like, wow, you're in the rebellion. I think that's totally fake.
Well, let's have Kanan. Kanan, you like Rey so much, which I do too. Could you maybe describe some scenes that really stick out to you as really exceptional with her in it?
The torture scenes, the fight, everything about Rey that I seriously love her character, and think about the prequels. We've got Natalie Portman as Padme and Hayden Christensen as Anakin, who were less than stellar, and that's what I was like kind of expecting, to be honest.
And Jake Lloyd as Anakin.
Yeah, right. Right. Anyways, let's get back to Rogue One. The reason why I like Rey more than Jyn, I feel like some of Jyn's feels like she was thrust into leadership very quickly. Thrust into this position to be giving speeches and heard by the entire group. And I don't think that's realistic. And I don't think that's something that her character exactly needed to be. I feel like she could have been a little more of the rogue that Rogue One is, like she should have been, oh, you guys don't want to fight? F you, I'm out of here to go fight. That's just me.
Yeah, I think you're right. Like, she was proclaiming, I'm Galen's daughter, like at the meeting with all the leaders and stuff. It's like, you're a traitor's daughter. They would not want you in all their important meetings right now telling people what to do.
Right, exactly. Yeah, that was one thing. And that's obviously not on Jyn's, her character or her acting. Although I did feel like that was because I felt like that wasn't completely fitting of her character. I felt like those parts were a little bit weaker of a showing as far as her acting was concerned. And also, yeah, I'll just leave it at that.
I had never seen another movie with Felicity Jones in, so I didn't have much expectation of her acting ability, and I thought she did a really good job.
I thought it was great. I just thought that those parts weren't fitting it for her character, I didn't think.
She was nominated for an Oscar 2 years ago for that Stephen Hawking movie with Eddie Redmayne. So she's obviously fairly accomplished, but she did do a very good job.
Absolutely.
Kind of changing subjects, but I really appreciated how real everything felt, especially compared to Force Awakens, which I rewatched over the weekend. And Force Awakens just seems so sterile compared to Rogue One. Now it's a different type of movie, you know. As Canyon was saying, it's a war movie. It's definitely supposed to be grittier, but everything felt much more real to me. Even the special effects, like they made those Star Destroyers look like models that someone built in a shop. Yeah, whether they were or not, I'm not exactly sure how they actually did it. You know, I saw a behind the scenes picture, one of the few that I saw of the scene when they were flying through hyperspace. They actually had a ship they built in a studio, and they were projecting hyperspace on a wall out the window, like in real life. That's awesome. You know, and it just gave it that more realistic feel that you get from the original movies of sets and real locations and that kind of thing. I feel like Force Awakens relied a lot on CG. It was good CG,
but Force Awakens was mostly practical effects.
But I'm talking like the spaceships and like the big Death Star planet and and like that kind of stuff. And like all the lens flares, which there were lens flares.
Lots of lens flares.
I don't know. It just all that stuff just feels forced. No pun intended.
See, to me, in Rogue One, you know, I did like seeing like so much of the military presence and stuff like that. Like I do feel like it was important to show, but seeing like an AT-ST walk through the back of like every shot, not that there's an AT-ST in every shot, but seeing something big like that in every shot and like something in the background of every shot seemed like it was maybe a little busy. I got like a little bit this is a little too busy vibe, but that's obviously what they were trying to accomplish.
But I also agree with Kanan. You can communicate visually the point of a scene or a movie in general without having a overpopulated shot. So I can definitely see where you come from.
You know, and I think it may also be just the style that it was shot.
Yeah.
The Rogue One was a lot of close-ups, a lot of handheld, but not too shaky handheld, like good handheld.
Yep.
Yeah, when they started walking through Jeddah, I was like, oh no, is this going to be super shaky walking through the marketplace? But it wasn't too shaky.
It was good. It felt very, very real. It never really felt like there was a shot, I mean, besides some of the obviously space stuff, never really felt like there was a shot that couldn't have been shot with someone holding a camera.
Yeah.
Which often the stuff that seems like, that's CG are the shots that you could never pull off in real life. And I feel like a lot of what they shot was stuff that you could pull off in real life.
Oh, random thought I just had, and we can go back to the subject if you guys want to keep talking about it. But do you remember when Jin and the captain were looking through all of the files trying to find the Stardust file?
Yep.
And she was listing off verbally a bunch of different code names. I don't know. I felt like there might be an Easter egg there that could even...
Probably, yeah. I don't remember what they were, but yeah.
Yeah, one of them was like Pax Aurora, which is Latin for peace of... space or something, like space piece. I don't know. But I think like, oh man, part of me is just like was looking everywhere in this movie for episode 8 hints, and I was wondering if maybe one of those could be like a hint towards what the title might be.
I think one of them was Black Saber.
Yeah, it was.
Wow. That's...
I really liked that in every Imperial base they were in, there were people on the intercom reading off numbers. That's so Death Star. It's just like, I'm trying to think what are the ones in A New Hope where you just hear like this the announcer over the intercom going like TK427, you know, closing out board shields. You just hear all this random dialogue, and they also had the stormtroopers just like discussing another ship right before they got shot, and there's just a lot of fun stuff like that, like in direct reference.
You hear they're decommissioning the T-14.
Yeah. Which is exactly, I mean, that's exactly from when Obi-Wan is disabling the tractor beam, and you hear the stormtroopers talking about, did you see that new ST-48 or whatever? You know, I don't know what they say.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I liked the stormtroopers. I liked all the different types of stormtroopers.
Yeah, the Death Troopers, at the very beginning of the movie, walking into the Urso's farm. Definitely intimidating. They're really sweet. Did anybody else find themselves, I didn't cry or anything, but sad when K2SO died? Like, I don't know.
I was sad,
surprised.
for sure.
I was surprised that I was slightly emotional during that because he was like the comic relief, but he was so nice.
I liked him. He was almost a little too C-3PO-y.
Only a badass.
Calculating the odds and stuff.
Yeah.
But he could wield a weapon, which was fun.
Definitely. Had combat capabilities. I thought that the relationship between Jin and K2 was cool. And I always think Star Wars makes it a point to highlight the relationship between man and machine, because obviously that's something that we all do every day. We interact with machines. We are so comfortable with them. They are such a part of our lives. It's cool to see a relationship between a human and a machine, especially when Jin at first doesn't like K2 and then ends up protecting him, and then eventually being sad when he comes to pass.
Does anyone else think it was ironic that K2SO had the most violent death of the characters? Because he seriously got decimated and just started falling apart from all the laser shots.
Yeah, it makes sense because he just would have been able to withstand the most.
What did you guys think about how easily, once Jin got to the top of the satellite dish, she was able to plug that drive into a random slot and send it specifically to Admiral Akbar's dad or whoever that was?
Admiral Akbar's dad.
I just thought that was a little bit. You plug it in, hit a couple of buttons, and it goes exactly where you need it to go.
She had to reposition. She had to reposition the satellite. So
and the whole archive room, they're all like normal hard drives. They're not even SSDs.
I know, they were huge.
But they transfer it to an SSD.
Well, they transmit it to the disc that gets put into. Oh my god, that last little following of the disc is just so amazing. It's so amazing. I'm going to watch this again tomorrow. I'm just gonna go.
I might wait a couple days, but definitely soon. Canaan, I wanted to bring up Donnie Yen's Force character. So obviously he's Force sensitive. He's kind of like sonar. Seems like he kind of like uses the Force as like sonar to see his environment. But he's not a Jedi. But he also they said that he's like guarding the Kyber crystals on Jedha. I don't know. It's kind of a little confusing.
So
how he relates to the Jedi. I found
his character name. His name is Chirrut Imwe.
Chirrut
Imwe.
Chirrut Imwe. Okay. Cassian says when they first get to Jedha and they introduce Chirrut, is that it? Chirrut?
Yeah, Chirrut.
Okay, Chirrut. When they introduce
Dwight
this character, Cassian says, they were defenders of the Kyber crystals, but now that there are no more Kyber crystals to defend, they just cause trouble for people. I think he's obviously a Force user. He sees through the Force. It's possible that he developed that because he went blind and had to like rely on the Force to interact with his external surroundings. But I also think that he could have developed, that could have been something that he developed because of his relationship to the Kyber crystals. And that was really cool how he pointed out Jin's Kyber when it was, obviously hidden from view, but he could see it through the Force. And I think that character is a very, very strong addition to the Star Wars universe. To see someone that's Force sensitive, that's not a Jedi, fight similar to a Jedi, not quite there, but it's awesome.
Very cool. What do you think of if you hit a stormtrooper with the baseball bat and the helmet? Would it really knock them out?
Well, that's something that's in the original 3 movies, I would have said no. But now that I've seen 7 and Rogue One, their armor seems to be made of breakable, thin plastic. Like, and I'm saying this from Force Awakens. Like, there's multiple armor cracks in that movie, especially when Chewie's crossbow slams the guy back into the wall. That armor is just obliterated, you know.
Yeah.
And that does show, also is meant to show the power of the crossbow. But I also think that it's meant to kind of show Stormtrooper armor is kind of just, I think it really is just there for the show, to be honest. Like, I think that it's there to be oppressive, to be something that's uniform, to be something that scares people and shows, like, don't mess with us because we're suited up. But in reality, it's just cheaply made.
It's just cosplay.
Yeah. Well, it's not just cosplay, but it's something that the Empire had to throw together to furbish, millions of stormtroopers potentially. So,
yeah,
it's not gonna be the best armor. Like the Death Troopers, their armor might be legitimately better, and that kind of is shown. It kind of is shown in the movie in a sense.
Yeah, we haven't seen any armor in Star Wars that has stopped blaster bolts.
Right, it's like, what's the point of wearing the armor if it's not gonna...
Donnie Yen's staff turned into his gun, correct? Or was that a different weapon?
Different weapon.
He had a gun.
Different weapon. It's like a big crossbow thing.
Oh, that's right.
He carries, but he carries both of them around. I did notice that.
Yeah, I couldn't tell if it kind of like transformed into the gun or what was happening there.
It's cool how he used that as in addition to the into his staff.
So now that we've seen the first spin-off, what do you think about the choice of making a movie based on an event? Like Rogue One was based on stealing the Death Star plans. They kind of built the characters around that probably, or having a spin-off based on a character like Han Solo. I'm not sure if it's going to be a specific event in his life or it's going to cover like a couple time periods, but yeah, what do you think about that? Like an event movie versus a character movie? Because it might be totally different, just focusing on one character like Han Solo mainly, when this movie was really about a group of characters.
We could have an R-rated Darth Vader movie.
Ooh, that would be awesome. Well, so I think one thing that is going to be more prevalent in the character-driven movies is less action, more, in screenwriting, there's a scene and then it's followed by a sequel and then another scene. And in a scene, there's an action that occurs, some sort of conflict that is addressed. And then in the sequel to that scene, the conflict is kind of like resolved and there's a little bit of a break. And in a really action-packed movie like what we just saw with Rogue One, you don't see many sequels. You just lots of scenes in a row to keep the action going. And so when we get to something like the Han Solo movie, there'll be like a really, really intense action part for a little bit, and then there'll be a more drawn-out kind of explanation, and that's just how I think it'll go. And obviously you see that a little bit in Rogue One, but it's more driven by the action of the circumstance and the event.
If you could pick one line from any movie to spin off of, what would your line be?
Ooh.
Because that one was that Rogue One's basically based on like 2 lines from the opening crawl.
I know mine. It would be when Palpatine's talking to Anakin at the crazy light show about killing his master and learning about reincarnation and stuff. I think that would be awesome to see more of that.
Yeah, I think there's a decent chance we'll get a young Palpatine movie or something to that extent.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
What about a whole movie about pod racing?
Now this is pod
to be honest,
racing.
like I wouldn't be surprised if they try to explore that. Like,
what does Qui-Gon say is, I've seen pod racing on Malastare. Very fast, very dangerous.
Very dangerous. Not many humans
Actually,
can
I just
do
thought
it.
of like a really cool Fast and the Furious-esque underground pod racing movie.
Yeah.
That actually does sound pretty cool.
On different planets, not just Tatooine.
Or just like even a short film, like 30 minutes long or something like
How
that.
about what does Yoda say? For 800 years, I've been training Jedi, or whatever he says. 800 years.
Oh,
it's a long time.
I saw something about a Yoda movie. I don't know if that was real or not, but
Okay, so Line's the spinoff of. If
Yeah,
I
I
had
mean,
to
I
choose
kind of
one,
just completely ripped us off of Rogue One, but
I mean, I like the idea of jokingly, there's always a bigger fish. It's a movie where it just successively is a larger fish, like for 3 hours, and it's a nature documentary, but in Star Wars universe.
or where does the Death Sticks guy end up?
I
want to go home and rethink my life.
That sounds hilarious to me. I love that idea.
This is such a difficult question. I don't think I've ever thought of this. What's a line that could be spun off of in Star
What about all
Wars?
those just one-off lines that Han and Lando have about like their adventures and all
Yeah.
these random
Well, I mean,
planets
that's what
that
we're gonna
I can't
see.
even quote. Yeah,
That's probably what we're going to see.
probably gonna see it.
I bet you we see how Han acquires the Millennium Falcon. I would put a decent amount of money, and when I say decent amount of money, I'm talking real like adult money on that's what the first Han Solo movie's about.
Or what does Lando say after in the briefing at Return of the Jedi? Or no, right after that, he's like, I guess they heard what I did at the Battle of Tanab or whatever.
Yeah, Battle of Tanab,
Yeah,
you're right.
There you go.
That could be cool.
Wait, who said that?
It's when Lando and Han are talking right before Lando takes the Millennium Falcon out.
And Han's like, General, huh?
Yeah, and he's like, I guess they heard about the maneuver I pulled at the Battle of Tanab or something like that.
That's exactly what Lando says in that movie. And that would be an interesting spin-off. Seeing Lando in some sort of battle. He does go into the battle in episode 6 pretty intensely, but you don't expect that from his character.
Nia Num, co-pilot.
Speaking, Lando comic series is the best Star Wars comic series, in my opinion.
I don't have it, but I read it at Barnes & Noble.
Charles Soule is a genius comic writer.
Mike, there's
It's great.
lots of Lobot in there. You'd
Lots
like
of
it.
Lobot.
I do like Lobot.
Oh,
Lobot.
dude, you would love the Lando comic series.
I've got
then,
my
man.
Lobot right here.
Dude, to be honest, pick up that like the you can buy it all in one book now. Like it's so good, and Lobot is my favorite character in that comic. He is just perfect.
Does Lobot have free will, or is he always being controlled?
Well, it's kind of explained in the comic, to be honest,
Ooh.
which is cool. I'll leave it at that.
Let's end it on a Rogue One note. What was your favorite scene from the movie?
Are we all going to say the same thing?
Vader destroying the rebels at the end, the rebel scum at the end, dude.
Vader destroying
Besides
the rebels.
that, I guess.
Okay, I'll try to think.
I
of
know
one.
mine. I really liked the ambush on Jeddah in the streets. I thought that was really cool and just so different from anything in Star Wars, any battle we've seen so far. And it was really cool how Cassian had to kill one of them to save Jyn. I think he was about to throw a grenade or something, and that got them in trouble. And I don't know. I thought that scene was all put together really well.
I know what mine is. When they push the Star Destroyer into the other Star Destroyer with the Corellian Corvette and just slice it in half and then take down the whole shield. That was remarkable.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's actually what I was going to say, but I can pick a different one.
Wait, how did that work? So one of the Star Destroyers lost total power, right?
Yeah, it was disabled. It was
With the Y-Wings.
the Y-Wings disabled it with the ion torpedoes, and then the Corellian Corvette gets in that wedge right there, which like looks like it's made perfectly for that purpose of like
The
ramming
hammerhead
and
ship.
yeah, they just take it right into the other one and just
But the other Star Destroyer, did that have its shields up and stuff?
yeah, but a shield's
when
not
it's
gonna
being knocked
it's not
into-
gonna
yeah,
stop
with another giant-
stop a Star Destroyer.
I thought
I
it
think
was
the rule-
cool how when the rebels were about to escape into Lightspeed, they got denied, which we've never seen before.
Yep. That was awesome.
That was very cool.
And that's explained in the Lords of the Sith novel. It explains Vader's story of how he acquires the hyperdrive capability to like shut down people from going into hyperspace. Oh, so
Yeah, that was
sick.
crazy. You're like, they're gonna get away, bam, just like a wall.
And the music changes, and
one of the biggest of the ships just gets torn in half.
Mm-hmm.
Admiral Akbar's son or whatever.
Rest in peace.
Dad. It's his dad.
Calamari.
Mr. Akbar.
Mr. Akbar.
I think the first scene to kind of like give me chills a little bit was when they played Galen's message, when he is just passionately explaining as quickly as he can how to destroy the Death Star. I thought that was really cool how they did that.
Mm-hmm.
That was
tied
cool.
that into the briefing you hear one movie later.
Because that's when a lot of the strings start to like really come together as well.
So do you think at the end of that message he was going to like give the details on the hole in the Death Star, or
Yeah, that's
it
kind
got
of what
cut
I
off.
assumed, but according to Canaan, it's not.
I don't think so. I don't think so. I think he was just trying to relay the message that the reactor was vulnerable.
Mhm.
And I think it was up to the rebels to figure out how they were going to get to the reactor.
Yeah.
Although, you never know.
Yeah.
It's possible that he divulged the entire plans in that hologram that got lost. Although I just doubt that. Like they had to have gone and gotten the plans, for some reason.
Tim, do you have a favorite scene?
Absolutely. So even as cool as Vader's last moments are, I would still say this is my favorite scene in the whole movie over that. It's when, right as the space battle is beginning, and it's just quintessential Star Wars to me. It's when all of the rebel ships immediately like go from, hyperspace to dead standstill. Like that is just so Star Wars to me, and seeing it with crisp, new CGI, beautiful sound effects, just amazing. Like that's when you know this is real. This is going to be a battle. This is incredible. So quick. Awesome.
For sure. I think my favorite space battle is Return of the Jedi.
Oh, yeah.
When there's just
Even more than
there's
this one?
just so clouds of ships.
Oh, yeah.
And they reminded me a lot of that, which was great.
When all the TIE fighters are released from the...
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
So awesome. But in Return of the Jedi, it's TIE Interceptors, which makes it way more badass. So yeah, Return of the Jedi is still the best space battle that we've seen, in my opinion.
They showed some other type of TIE fighter
On
in
the
this
planet.
one.
Yeah, those are cool. I don't know what those are called. I got to check that out.
Also, the carrier AT-AT that had the space in it for luggage or whatever you would call it.
Those were cool. Oh, the AT-AT, or the AT-ATs were, seeing those all in action, that
they got
was
destroyed
really cool.
a lot.
They did get
easier
destroyed.
Than on Hoth.
Why? I don't know.
I think that the X-Wings are more powerful of a starfighter than the airspeeders.
Oh, true.
Snow
Why?
speeders.
So then, here's my question: why didn't they have any X-wings stay on the Battle of Hoth?
I'm wondering if that had something to do with the temperature, like they can't, but then it doesn't make sense. Like, why couldn't they can fly in the void of space, but they, I don't know. It could literally be the snow or something. I don't know.
They did a unique way to take down the robots.
Well, yeah, that's
so they conveniently avoided the
I'm
X-Wings.
trying to explain it as
Well,
if,
I think
like,
also you could say the X-wings were needed. The more powerful ships were needed to defend the cruisers and stuff that
True.
were already getting out into space.
And maybe these AT-ATs were less attack purpose, didn't have as many shields. They were more transportation
For sure.
because they had
True.
those giant compartments or
the
something.
pods. Yeah, man, that scene so great.
Man, I mean, as I said last week, like I didn't want to get my expectations up too high because I didn't want to be disappointed in any way, but definitely exceeded the expectations I had set. Loved it.
Yes, I would say the same. It did exceed my expectations in most every way. Most every way.
Well, we recorded this just minutes after finishing the movie. Maybe after we each see it a couple more times and digest it a little more, we'll probably have more to talk about, and maybe that could be a future episode. The Blu-ray will be pretty sweet. Maybe we'll want to talk about that in a couple months. So,
Absolutely. It's been a pleasure, my friends.
yes, thanks for coming back all the way from out of town.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for being here, Tim.
You're welcome, David. Anytime.
And thanks to all the loyal listeners out there.
There's a guy in Portugal, apparently. We love you.
There's a bunch of crazy countries. I can see who listens to the episodes, and most of them are Tulsa and St. Louis. But yeah, there was like 2 listens in Portugal, I don't remember all the other countries. There's like one in a bunch of different weird countries across the world. So we are
Weird
global.
countries. Whoa, dude. Whoa.
Hostel Discourse. You heard it here. We are global.
They're not weird countries. They're just different from a different area of the world.
Okay.
David, I think you should sign off with your Jar Jar Binks impression.
Man. Here. Okay. Found it. I don't know. Misa day starting pretty okie day with the brisky morning munchie. Then boom! Getting very scared and grabbing that Jedi. And pow! Misa here. Misa getting very, very scared.
That's great,
So
man.
good.
That's great.
I listened to that on the last episode like 15 times. It's so funny. It was so funny.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, we'll end it there. We'll be back season 2 in January, and we're planning on an every other week schedule. Back with the other Hostel Bros, and who knows, maybe Mike and Canaan will be on again on one of those episodes. And Tim, of course.
I'll be here whenever you call me, baby.
I bought a new microphone, so I'm gonna need to use it.
Let's hope it sounds good when we all hit record. All right, thanks for listening, guys. See ya.
Laters.
Thanks for listening to Hostel Discourse. Subscribe and leave us a review on iTunes, Google Play, or Stitcher. And check out our other social media accounts linked in the show notes. Join us next time as we kick off Season 2 with a much-anticipated debate special.